Hi guys, alright, let's have a look at Bitcoin. It's been a while, so Bitcoin update recorded at 11 a.m. and today I believe is Wednesday the 30th of May. So before I go on, if you guys are interested in tutorials and learning how to trade, have a look at my Shopify site. The description or the link is in the description below. A lot of webinars which we've done over the last couple of months, as well as my tutorials on Wyckoff, psychology, Elliott wave, Fibonacci, as well as risk and trade management, which has proved to be a very popular. There's a sale going on, as well as a discount code is 2496 for a 50% discount for the rest of this month. So please have a look, and if you want to join the weekly subscription service, just sign up through PayPal, through my website, click on here. I do accept crypto payments, but for crypto, for the subscription, you'll need to email me first at financialfreedom at financialfreedom007 at outlook.com, and then we can negotiate what the crypto fee will be. However, for the Shopify, you can pay in crypto. It's Ether and Bitcoin, so everything's automated through Shopify. And more recently, we've started to go through oil, gold, silver, as well as the Dow Jones. So you're getting more bang for your buck. And I'm also going to start very, very soon, in a couple of weeks, every Friday afternoons, my time, to do a 1-hour tutorial / live webinar on the markets that allows for better interaction. I will be starting that over the next couple of weeks, so I'll keep you guys updated for that. So you're getting a lot of value for your money there. Anyway, let's go into the market. And if you're not already, follow me on Twitter at NazirJones007. Have a lot of fun. Do a lot of polls, which are very important to gauge market sentiment at particular times of the day. And I think you guys can learn a lot from the Twitter feed. Okay, so let's go into Bitcoin. So we know Bitcoin usually likes to bounce when the RSI on the daily is around 30. It's done that once here, once here, once here, and we know towards the end of the month, the start of the following month, that's when it starts to make its move up. Now, we also know on Bitcoin that the weekly candles tend to require some time before reversing trend. So with this long bullish bearish engulfing candle this week, likely up until Sunday, Bitcoin is just going to consolidate like it did here, like it did here, like it did here, 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 as well as here. So don't be surprised if for the next 4 days or so Bitcoin goes sideways, and only then does it start to provide some bullish momentum up. In the end, we're definitely going to go to sub 5,000 and probably 3,000, and I'm predicting 2496, which I have done so for quite some time, the last 6 months really. This bear market is still nowhere near done, but we are getting there. We are going to start rolling over here on the RSI. So don't be surprised if Bitcoin continues to frustrate for the end of this week, and then next week we could get some momentum up. However, the best you can hope for now, being bullish, is that we end up coming back down to potentially hit this triangle at somewhere between 8,500 and 9,000. That will then complete this ABCDE triangle, and then we're going to get a very violent move down. The other count is that the X wave actually finished here. This is a 1, this is a 2. Either way, you want to be involved on that move down, because wave 3s and triangle breakdowns tend to be very, very violent. So it appears it has bounced off this region here, but once again, I keep on going back to this point that we are in a bear market. The trend is down, so no one should be committing any large amount of capital to this market. Whilst here the gains were 80%, here the gains were 50%. Right now the gains are becoming less and less, and you could easily shoot yourself in the foot if you get too excited here, because this market could roll over at any time. It's looking very weak, and all of these pumps are just short squeezes, and in the end it's not somewhere where you want to commit a lot of move. The overall trend is down, and frankly the short trade here is probably better than the long trade here. But either way, I suppose we are going to get a move up, but don't be surprised if it continues to frustrate for a few more days, and then next week and the week after we get a movement up. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of Fibonacci time resistance around the end of June and the start of July, so I expect this line in some way, shape, or form by the end of June, start of July, to be hit, and after which point we're going to get this frantic move down, and then that's going to shake everyone out. So the next move down will be 6464, and then here, then 5000, and eventually we're going to end up in this sub 4200 level and end up here. So this long consolidation period will be put to an end likely by the last week of June or the first week of July. So if you're going to get excited with this market on the long side, just make sure you're watching things like a hawk, because there's a lot of time resistance around the end of June, start of July. So either by price or by time, there's going to be a way to get out of the market, and everyone's going to be getting short on that trade, unless they sort of do a fake breakout and then bring it down, or maybe they'll go back up to here. But either way, it's just looking weak, and we're getting lower lows and lower highs, and sooner or later, once this triangle breaks, we're going to get all kinds of pain, and that's going to shake everyone out. And these consolidation patterns, when they break out, they tend to do it in a very volatile way, as you saw here. Long consolidation and a quick breakdown, quick 50% in 2 weeks. And this is a very, very long 3-4 month cycle here of sideways action, and cause is proportional to effect. So that's my take on Bitcoin. As I said, short term, because of the weekly candle thing, I expect it just to muck around here. I mean, it might go a little bit lower, I suppose. 7,000, it might go to 6,800. Either way, it's going to form some sort of basing pattern, and really the move is going to start probably Monday or Tuesday. But either way, if you want to trade this, this is not a long-term investors sort of trade. This is not for long-term investors. This is purely short-term. Just bear in mind that the overall trend is down, and sooner or later it's going to start rolling over. It's just a matter of when. Given that everyone's waiting for this line to be hit, maybe it won't hit that line, maybe it'll just start rolling over here. There is resistance at this horizontal line at 8,100, and then obviously between 85 and potentially 8,800 is where you're going to get the problems, because there's fib support there, and there's there's fib resistance there and all that. So, and looking at the volume action, let's just zoom that out. So there's, once it gets past here, it'll go straight up because there's no volume here to here, and then maybe we'll settle at this low volume node here. So 86, 82, somewhere around here it's probably going to settle, and then this entire fake altcoin rally, fake sideways movement, whatever you want to call it, is going to come to an end, and then finally we're going to get people shaken out of this market because there's just way too many heroes here. So and then it'll make its move down towards 30 RSI on the weekly, and then things are going to get interesting because the bargain hunters are going to start jumping in sub 5k and sub 4k. Personally, I think it'll go to 3k or less, but at some point we're going to get heroes jumping in. So because of that, it won't be a straight move down. It'll probably settle in this sort of zone, go back up again one more time, and then come back down again. Because there's going to be heroes who are going to jump in a bit too early, just like it did here. So it kind of moved down. Heroes started jumping in, but it was obviously still corrective, and then we had the final impulse down. So this, in terms of a Wyckoff, would be the preliminary support, but the actual selling climax didn't come until later. So you don't want to get in too early, but at the same time I can see why people would say, look, the price has gone down by 80%. At some point in time, bargain hunters are going to jump in, and I can't really argue with that point, to be honest. I mean, from top to bottom, how much has it gone down now? 58% if it gets to here, 73%. So at some point, people are just going to jump in and say, look, enough's enough. But you can do what you like. At the end of the day, until Wall Street properly get into this market, it's not going to start going up. And then we're going to get a sideways action. Then we're going to start moving up. And then it's going to get very, very interesting because the entire world economy is slowly falling apart. So it'll be interesting to see the price of Bitcoin when things start going massively wrong in the Dow Jones in August, and sort of soon after that. Well, I mean, sort of 3-4 years down the line, by 2021, if the Dow Jones does hit that 40,000 target, it's going to be a major issue. So it will be interesting to see the price of Bitcoin by that time. I suspect it will be at least 50,000, if not towards 100,000. So things will get very interesting. Bitcoin just went up a little bit too far too fast, and it needs to settle down. But eventually, buyers are going to jump in. Make no bones about that. A lot of people are watching this sub 5k to be hit, and as it gets towards this sort of level, there is going to be a basing pattern, and then we're going to start making all kinds of gains here. So those are my views on Bitcoin. It feels like only yesterday it was at 20,000, but it was in fact 6 months ago. So we are more than halfway through this bear market, and by September things will start getting very, very cheap. So, but as I said, short term, given the weekly sort of candles that we've had, I expect a bit of a sideways movement of frustration, consolidation, going sideways just like it did here, while it builds up a cause, and then probably Monday, Tuesday next week we'll get a move up. That will be sustained maybe until the last week of June, but at some point around the 25th of June to the around Independence Day, give or take a week either way, I expect the dump to happen. Bear in mind, public holidays are usually a good time to dump something. Number two, there's a lot of Fibonacci time resistance in early July. And number three, as we spoke about in terms of symmetrical triangles, the breakout usually happens around 75% of the distance from the start of the triangle. So if you were to take out 175 times it by 75%, let me just do that now. It's 175 multiplied by 75, 131. That gets us to yeah, the 15th of June. Yeah, that's a little bit late for my liking, to be honest. I suppose it depends how you draw the apex, but you get the point. I mean, actually, that's a little bit early. 1 second, 130, 31. Yeah, 17th of June. Yeah, that's a little bit early. I suppose it depends how you draw these lines. Actually, let me just take that right to the end of this right to the end. 177 multiplied by 0.75. 132. Yeah, so you get the point. 21st of June. So you get the point. It's going to break down, and also there's a massive futures contract on the 29th. The semi-annual and quarterly contracts are the biggest, so expect a dump prior to that. So you know, if you are bullish here, it's a race against the clock to make as much money as you can, and then you want to be getting on the short side or getting out of this market. But this is not an investor's place. Way too risky now. This triangle is going to relieve itself of its pain very soon, and then this is where it starts to get very exciting, trying to predict the low in Bitcoin, because people are going to be hunting all over this. Something that's gone down 80%, any man off the street will just buy that. Anything that is that cheap, regardless of fibs and regardless of time, people will just go into that. But once this sub 5,000 breaks, that's the key psychological level that's going to bring a lot of fear. So if you guys are holding, you know, good luck to you. But really, the time to buy is all the way down here. And as I said, by August, September, the Dow Jones should have sold off by then, and we're going to get all kinds of cheap Bitcoin here, because long term people know where it's going to go. So that's my count on Bitcoin. So those are my thoughts on time, on price, long term, medium term. So good luck to you guys. I'll chat to you guys soon. And as I said, follow me on Twitter. Usually tweet about 5-6 times a day when I can. Have a look at this, 2496 for the discount code. A lot of tutorials. I am going to do a webinar at some point over the next couple of months, just not had the time. Hopefully we'll try and get a few other YouTubers on, and we'll try and set up another webinar at some point. And as I said, if you want to join the weekly service where we go through all the altcoins, all the trades, oil, gold, silver, you name it, we'll cover it. I usually do a poll before every Wednesday and Sunday update, and as I said, in the next couple of weeks I will start doing a live webinar over Cisco WebEx every Friday afternoon, just for tutorial purposes. educational purposes, allows for better interaction. So I'll leave it there with you guys. Good luck in whatever you're doing, and I'll chat to you guys soon. Have a nice summer.